A cuppa Conquest, fancy a brew, you're sipping on history. Right, listen up, petrol heads. Ever wondered why you're dunking biscuits in tea instead of, say, vodka? Blame the British Empire, that sprawling behemoth that once spanned a quarter of the globe. It all started with a thirst for exotic spices and a desire for a decent cuppa. Who knew a nation's love for a good brew could fuel such global domination? Buckle up, because we're about to go for a historical joyride. Now, conquering half the world isn't as simple as brewing a good cuppa, or is it? So how did Britain build the biggest empire? Tea, spices, trade, and a pinch of stubbornness. If you're curious to learn more about history's quirks, hit that subscribe button. After all, the sun might have set on the British Empire, but there's still plenty of history left to uncover. The journey of the British Empire is a tale of ambition, exploration, and a relentless drive for expansion. It all began with a few brave souls setting sail from the misty shores of England, venturing into the unknown with dreams of glory and riches. Not bad for a bunch of tea lovers. But these tea lovers had a knack for turning the ordinary into the extraordinary. They transformed their love for a good brew into a symbol of their burgeoning empire, a testament to their influence and reach. Our story begins not with a bang, but with a whimper. In the quiet corners of English villages, far from the hustle and bustle of European power struggles, the seeds of empire were quietly taking root. It was a time of reflection and preparation, a calm before the storm of expansion. Picture the 16th century. England, a damp little island nation, was feeling a bit inadequate compared to its European neighbours who were busy carving up the new world like a Sunday roast. Spain and Portugal were leading the charge, claiming vast territories and amassing wealth beyond imagination. Not to be outdone, the Brits decided to get in on the action. Enter the explorers. Francis Drake, Walter Raleigh, and a whole host of other intrepid or perhaps slightly unhinged adventurers set sail to discover new lands, claiming everything they could for the crown. These men were driven by a mix of patriotism, greed, and a thirst for adventure. North America, the Caribbean, bits of Africa, you name it, they stuck a flag on it. The British were determined to leave their mark on the world, and they did so with a fervour that was unmatched. Each new territory was a testament to their growing power and influence. It wasn't all plain sailing, of course. These early voyages were fraught with danger, disease, and the occasional run-in with less than thrilled locals. The seas were treacherous, and the unknown lands were filled with challenges that tested the mettle of even the bravest explorers. But hey, who needs a comfortable life when you can have an empire, right? The allure of power and wealth was too great to resist. The British were willing to endure hardships and make sacrifices, all in the name of expanding their empire and securing their place in history. And so, the seeds of the British Empire were sown, all thanks to a bit of exploration, a lot of ambition, and dare I say, a dash of good old-fashioned greed. Over the centuries, this small island nation would grow to become a global superpower, its influence reaching every corner of the world. The story of the British Empire is a testament to the power of determination and the human spirit's unyielding desire to explore and conquer. Now, let's talk about trade, shall we? Trade was the lifeblood of empires, the engine that drove their expansion and wealth. It wasn't just about goods, it was about power, influence and control. Because what's an empire without a bit of buying and selling, eh? The British understood this better than anyone. They knew that controlling trade routes and commodities was the key to global dominance. The Brits, being the savvy businessmen they were, knew a good thing when they saw it, and that good thing was spices. Spices were the gold of the time, highly sought after and incredibly valuable. Pepper, cinnamon, nutmeg, you name it, the Europeans were willing to pay a king's ransom for a sniff. These spices were not just flavour enhancers, they were symbols of wealth and status. Enter the East India Company, a corporation so powerful it makes modern-day conglomerates look like corner shops. Founded in 1600, this company was granted a royal charter by Queen Elizabeth I, giving it a monopoly on trade in the East Indies. This wasn't your average business. They had their own armies, their own navy, and the power to negotiate treaties. They were a corporate juggernaut with the might of a nation-state. They were basically a country within a country, and they were making a killing in India. The company established trading posts known as factories in key locations and gradually expanded its influence. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, or rather the opium in the pipe. The East India Company didn't just stop at spices, they ventured into more controversial commodities. Yes, the Brits, those champions of morality, were also rather keen on selling opium to the Chinese. Opium became a major trade item and the company exploited it to the fullest. It wasn't exactly their finest hour, but it did make them a tidy profit. The opium trade led to widespread addiction in China and eventually sparked the Opium Wars, conflicts that reshaped the region. Let's just say business ethics weren't exactly top of the agenda back then. The East India Company was driven by profit and they were willing to go to great lengths to achieve it, often at the expense of human lives and societal well-being. The company's rule in India was marked by exploitation and control. They imposed heavy taxes, manipulated local rulers, and extracted resources, all while maintaining a veneer of legitimacy. The impact of their policies was devastating. Famines, economic hardship, and social unrest were rampant. The company's actions laid the groundwork for the British Raj, which would continue to dominate India until independence in 1947. The legacy of the East India Company is a complex one. While they brought some modernization and infrastructure, the cost was immense. The scars of their rule are still felt in India and China today. The opium trade, in particular, left a lasting impact. Efforts to combat addiction and the consequences of the Opium Wars continue to this day. It's a stark reminder of how the pursuit of profit can lead to widespread suffering. Today, the world of trade has evolved, but the lessons from the past remain relevant. The story of the East India Company serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked corporate power and the ethical responsibilities that come with it. So, next time you think about the global economy, remember the Spice Kings and opium dreams. It's a story of ambition, exploitation, and the enduring impact of history on our present and future. Fast forward a couple of centuries, and the British Empire is at its peak. By the 19th century, it had become the preeminent global power, with territories on every inhabited continent. The empire's reach was so extensive that it was often said, "The sun never sets on the British Empire," a testament to its vastness and influence. We're talking a quarter of the world's landmass, from the frozen wastes of Canada to the scorching plains of Australia. The empire's diversity was staggering, encompassing a wide range of climates, cultures and peoples. From the dense jungles of Africa to the bustling markets of India, the British Empire was a mosaic of human civilization. It was so vast that it was said that the sun never set on the British Empire. This phrase wasn't just a poetic expression, it was a literal truth. At any given moment, the sun was shining on at least one part of the empire, whether it was dawn in India or dusk in Canada. Of course, that also meant it was always tea time somewhere, which probably explained why the Brits were so jolly good at conquering. The British love for tea became a symbol of their cultural influence, spreading the tradition to their colonies and beyond. Tea time was more than just a break. It was a moment of connection and reflection, a small comfort in the vast machinery of empire. Let's have a quick rundown of the empire's greatest hits, shall we? Number 5, India. India was the jewel in the crown of the British Empire, a land of immense wealth and cultural richness. The British East India Company initially established control, and by the mid-19th century, India was officially under British rule, the jewel in the crown, as they called it. India was a land of spices, silks, and a complex tapestry of cultures and religions. The British influence in India was profound, affecting everything from architecture to education. The railways, legal systems, and administrative structures introduced by the British still have a lasting impact on modern India, a land of spices, silks, and, well, a lot of British rule. Number 4, Australia. Australia, initially established as a penal colony, became a significant part of the British Empire. The first fleet of British convicts arrived in 1788, and over time Australia transformed from a remote outpost to a thriving colony. Originally a penal colony because even paradise needs a bit of a naughty corner. Number 3, Canada. Canada, with its vast landscapes and rich natural resources, was another key territory. The British influence in Canada began in the early 17th century and continued to grow, leading to the establishment of British North America. Vast, beautiful, and with a penchant for politeness that would make even the Queen blush. Canada's history is intertwined with the British Empire, from the fur trade to the establishment of cities like Toronto and Vancouver. The British legacy in Canada is evident in its legal system, language, and cultural traditions. Number 2, large chunks of Africa. The British Empire's presence in Africa was extensive, with territories stretching from Egypt in the north to South Africa in the south. The scramble for Africa in the late 19th century saw the British acquiring vast tracts of land, often through treaties and military conquest. Diamonds, gold, and a whole lot of complicated history. The British exploitation of Africa's natural resources, such as diamonds and gold, fueled the empire's wealth. However, this period was also marked by significant conflict and resistance from African communities, leading to a complex and often painful legacy. And finally, the number one hit, a tiny island called Britain, from where it all began. Britain, the heart of the empire, was a small island nation that managed to exert control over vast territories. The Industrial Revolution, naval supremacy, and a spirit of exploration and conquest propelled Britain to global dominance. Not bad for a nation smaller than France, eh? Britain's rivalry with France and other European powers drove its expansionist policies. The British Empire's success was a combination of military might, strategic alliances, and a relentless pursuit of trade and resources. Of course, running an empire this size wasn't all tea parties and cricket matches. The administration of such a vast empire required a complex bureaucracy and a network of colonial officials. The British had to navigate local customs, languages, and political structures, often leading to tensions and conflicts. There were rebellions, uprisings, and the occasional diplomatic blunder. The empire faced numerous challenges, from the Indian Rebellion of 1857 to the Mau Mau uprising in Kenya. These events highlighted the limits of British control and the desire for independence among colonized peoples. But hey, who said building an empire was easy? The British Empire's legacy is a complex tapestry of achievements and controversies. While it brought technological advancements and global trade, it also left a legacy of exploitation and cultural disruption. The story of the British Empire is a reminder of the power and pitfalls of imperial ambition.